Welcome to the 2013 Naval Academy Leadership Conference. This year's theme is Courageous Leadership, Bold Action in the Face of Adversity. It is my pleasure to welcome the Naval Academy's 61st Superintendent, Vice Admiral Michael H. Miller, to the stage. Superintendent.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Naval Academy. Can I see a show of hands? For how many of you all is the first time that you've come to the Naval Academy? Oh yeah, it's exactly what this should be about. There's roughly 260 of you all representing 50 of the premier institutions in America. And we're so honored that you would come and join us for this, our 30th conference, leadership conference here at the Naval Academy. Of course, the school has been here since 1845, but we have always laid claim to the development of ethical leaders. You all come from the very same bolt of cloth, and I guarantee you that were your presidents or chancellors up here on the stage right now, they would tell you that one of the key performance metrics that they use are the leadership roles that you will assume after you graduate. Something we're very, very proud of here, but is it not something that we are all looking for? Those thoughtful, caring, considerate mentors and leaders that will help show us the way when all is chaotic and all is confusion. It's certainly a confused world these days. And I believe that the consideration of what makes a great leader, particularly in crisis or when there has been a failure, is a key element of our development as human beings, and most assuredly as Americans. What better place to consider it than right here at the United States Naval Academy? So we've kind of sequestered you, pardon the use of that term, here, away from all the other distractions, to give you a chance to sit and think, to consider what great leaders are made of, and consider the chaos and the confusion of the day. If this symposium is of value, it should in the end result in collaboration, because it's not just one person's thought that has advanced the efforts of courageous leaders, but rather this great congregation of thoughts. How many times have you come up with an idea? It might have just dawned on you as you're sitting in one of your classes, or perhaps just riding on your bike, and you say, "Man, this is it's come to me, this bolt of light from the heavens," and only to find out that somebody else had thought about it before you. In point of fact, I would offer that when you come to these original decisions and original considerations, you should just go on a search engine and Google it or Safari it or what have you. If you start typing in the question, you'll find that others have had some of the very same questions and perhaps have come to the very same answers. It's a remarkable collegial atmosphere, and if we collaborate here, it prepares us for those future challenges that lie certainly ahead of all of us. So, how many of you all have seen the movie Lincoln? Can I see a show of hands here? That's good. I highly recommend it to you. It's a consideration of a smaller segment, quite frankly, of Doris Kearns Goodwin's book, Team of Rivals, but its focus is specifically on the 13th Amendment. But for all of that, it really focuses on leadership. Leadership, courageous leadership in the face of great adversity. Have we not forgotten, Pierce and Fillmore and Buchanan, because of their inability to move the nation prior to the Civil War? Their names are but typically just asterisks in the prelude leading to Lincoln's leadership. Now, I share something in common with Abraham Lincoln. I'm roughly his height. Regrettably, there the similarities end. I might be a little uglier, but other than that, I don't share a lot with Lincoln. But aside from a passion, as he had, and as you see, if you witness the movie, you understand that there is, in point of fact, this continuity. And it is our dedication to ensuring that the nation is served by covenant leadership, servants who will indeed build the foundation for the future of this nation. The easiest way to avoid making a bad decision, of course, which is precisely what Lincoln's three predecessors did, is to not make a decision, to kick it down the road, to say that it's somebody else's responsibility. Today we mark the commemoration of St. Thomas Aquinas' passing back in 1274. He is famous for many great quotes, but one of which is, "Were a captain's primary," wait, I'll say it right so I don't get it wrong. "If the highest aim of a captain were to preserve his ship, he would keep it in port forever." Well, our job today here is to not keep ships in port, but rather to launch them, to give you all an opportunity to sail these uncertain seas and to consider what's the best way to steer. How do we define these great leaders? More importantly, when you see a courageous leader fail, how do we accommodate that, and how do we avoid those future failures? Certainly honor and integrity, things that you all know, your parents taught you, certainly things that you deal with every day in your classes, in your life, in making the decisions that mark you as someone who is honorable, who can be trusted. That is the foundation of courageous leadership. Trust. Many of you all have probably read the book by Stephen Covey Jr. called The Speed of Trust, in which he argues that a trusting relationship is the essence to being able to make efficient, effective leadership decisions. And he's right, because if you trust the person who's on the other end of the line, the other end of the email, the person that you're texting, you know you don't have to go through the 20 or 200 different questions that establish this bond of trust. Point of fact, you can make decisions rapidly, effectively. It's precisely what we in the military arts believe is the essence of command. But establishing that trust is precisely what we hope to examine while we're here. Courageous leadership. It is by no means a given. I will tell you, as a jet pilot flying off of carriers hundreds of times, I'm struck by the fact that there was a chain of trust underneath every one of those flights. It was inherent in the maintenance person that was working on that jet in the middle of the night that I couldn't see, the person who's up there doing the work on the flight deck to make sure that everything was ready, right down to the person who's giving me directions on the flight deck, frequently where the nose of the airplane is out over the water and I'm looking down at blue or dark blue water on a perilous sea. And to the person who actually pushes the button on the catapult that launches that jet, the fact that the airplane flies and doesn't go into a dark and stormy black water, that was all founded on trust. You all have similar relationships, those of you that are in the, wearing the uniform, the cloth of the nation, and those of you that aren't. It is still, be it business or academia, we are still a nation founded on trust. And it is something that I would encourage us in the various dialogues that we have here this week to consider how we build that trust in a nation that is very, very much challenged today. President Obama is not the first to face a fiscal crisis. In point of fact, if you go back through history, at least 6 of his predecessors have been in some sort of economic recession, depression, or stock market collapse. Yet the leaders that we remember are those that find the path, that are able to navigate through those dark waters, to have the trust of both the American people and those their closest associates, to be able to lead the nation to success. They're challenging times. But most assuredly, our investment here, this collaboration, great leaders seem to emerge when we need them the most, but they are not born. I refuse to accept that. I listen to that all the time. Great leaders are born. No, great leaders are built block by block. This solid foundation that ultimately leads to trust. And when we need them the most, they have been the best prepared to step forward and to seize the leadership roles that are required of them to save the nation. Let's presume that in this room, those very same leaders exist today, and that this may be perhaps one of those blocks that will encourage you to be ready, to have practiced the art, to understand the limits and both the obligations of leadership, so that this government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. We are blessed to be supported here by a couple of groups that have established this conference. And the class of 1938, they think about where the class of 1938 was when they graduated. They were just 3 years prior to World War II. Virtually all of them served in World War II, and truly they are part of the greatest generation. Over 34 admirals and generals, over 24 Navy crosses, the nation's second highest honor, and a whole raft of other very distinguished awards. They determined that the living legacy that they would establish would be in the form of a conference, and so they continue. And we are represented here by some of their family members here in the front row. The Hart Group also has generously helped us put this together. Linda and Mitch Hart have been such great friends of this school, but most especially they have learned in their lives about courageous leadership. Linda's a very successful corporate and securities lawyer, but she was a former chair of IMation, and if you've ever recorded a CD or watched a DVD, in all likelihood you've been touched by her leadership. She serves on a lot of boards as well and helps continue to shape both in academia and in business the direction of our modern society. Mitch is a graduate of this distinguished institution and went on after serving in the Marine Corps. He's a former Marine. You're never an ex-Marine. And went to IBM and then subsequently served in a small company called Electronic Data Systems. EDS, went on to be its president, and then left there to found the Hart Group and a very successful international conglomerate, RMAX Incorporated. The Hart Group has been so generous in supporting us, and it's my great honor and privilege to ask to come to the stage Mr. Mitch Hart.
Thank you very much. A particularly welcome to the family of Admiral McNitt. When we were solicited to join them in the leadership thing, I said, well, how does this work? And they said, well, the class of 38 are an outstanding bunch of people. I didn't know a whole lot of the class of 38 since I was a class of 56. But so I met some of them, and two people really made this thing the way it is. It was Admiral McNitt and his predecessor, unfortunately, who died last year. But the two of them really set this up. I met several other members of the class of 38. When we were asked to join them, Linda and I were very intrigued with it because it had been a very successful conference, but it strictly dealt with the military schools. And we were interested in joining the civilian universities with it. I lived through Vietnam. I just missed it because I was out of the Marine Corps in '61, just before Vietnam. But that time when we were building EDS, it was a terrible time in this country because people were burning draft cards. People were very upset about everything that was going on. So I was very upset about that. and I spent a lot of time on college campuses during that time. And I swore to myself then, if we ever had a chance, we would try to see that that didn't happen again. We think in a small way this may help, because when you meet each other as classmates, as friends, and as people who are about to go out and lead the world, it's a great time to get to know each other. So thank you all for being here very much. It is Linda's and my pleasure. I'm delighted that we've got a number of our classmates here who are with us wholeheartedly in this, in the class of 56. Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to lunch today. So thank you all very much. I hope you enjoy the conference.
Robert Waring McNitt was born on 29 July 1915 to Robert Joseph and Dora Waring McNitt in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. An avid sailor from a young age, he entered the Naval Academy from Perth Amboy High School and graduated with a class of 1938. After a year aboard the heavy cruiser Chicago and 3 years as chief engineer of the destroyer Rhind, he completed 5 successful World War II patrols as executive officer of the submarine Barb, receiving 2 Silver Stars. He earned a Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering degree from MIT, served as gunnery officer in Midway, and helped design the Navy's first underwater atomic weapon at the Naval Ordnance Laboratory. Commands at sea include Taylor during the Korean War, Destroyer Division 322, and Destroyer Squadron 25. While on shore duty at the Naval Academy, Rear Admiral McNitt led a major curriculum revision and recruited the first civilian academic dean to replace himself. He held various positions at the flag officer rank, including superintendent of the Naval Postgraduate School, where he was awarded a Distinguished Service Medal, and Assistant Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Manpower. Rear Admiral McNitt retired from active service in 1971, but his commitment to the Navy and the Naval Academy continued. Rear Admiral McNitt was appointed Dean of Admissions at the Naval Academy in 1971, where he served for 13 years and was twice awarded the Distinguished Civilian Service Medal. He served as president of the Naval Academy Alumni Association, and in 2003 was recognized as a Naval Academy Distinguished Graduate. As a member of the class of 38 and former president, he was instrumental to the evolution of the Naval Academy's Leadership Conference, facilitating the transition from a small exchange among service academies to the international forum it is today, hosting more than 50 colleges and universities. Rear Admiral McNitt passed away on August 12, 2012, at 97 years of age, and is survived by his 8 children and 10 grandchildren. He will be remembered for his innovative, courageous, and selfless leadership, and for a lifetime of service to our country, our naval service, and the United States Naval Academy.